I call to order the Adrian City Commission meeting for June 2nd, 2025. If everyone would please rise for a moment of silence and the Pledge of Allegiance. Roll call, please.
Mayor Heath,
Present.
Commissioner Roberts, Commissioner Schwartz.
It's
Yeah,
on.
present, sir.
Can you turn up our mics a little bit, please, Michelle? Thanks. Okay.
Commissioner Schwartz, Commissioner Banky,
Present.
Commissioner Miller,
Present.
Commissioner Castleberry,
Present.
Commissioner Gauss.
Present.
All commission members present with the exception of Commissioner Schwartz.
May I get a motion to excuse Commissioner Schwartz?
So moved.
Support.
We have a motion from Commissioner Castleberry with a second from Commissioner Miller. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Roberts,
Yes.
Commissioner Banky,
Yes.
Commissioner Miller,
Yes.
Commissioner Castleberry,
Yes.
Commissioner Gauss,
Yes.
Mayor Heath,
Yes.
motion carried.
May I get a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved.
Support.
We have a motion from Commissioner Banky with a second from Commissioner Roberts. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Banky,
Yes.
Commissioner Miller,
Yes.
Commissioner Castleberry.
Yes.
Commissioner Gauss,
Yes.
Mayor Heath,
Yes.
Commissioner Roberts.
Yes.
Motion carried.
At this time, we will have public comment regarding items on the agenda. We will start inside the city chambers first. When we have exhausted all comment for items on the agenda inside the chambers, we will then open it up to the Zoom participants. Just to reiterate, there's a 3-minute time limit, and for the record, please state your name and place of residence. We'll begin now.
My name's Tom Neal, and I live in the city of Adrian on Madison Street. And as far as your agenda tonight, my comment I'd like to talk about is under resolutions, R25-034, the sale of the Holiday Inn property and what's going on with it. I wouldn't be here tonight if somebody from the college hadn't tried to bully me when I asked questions how they arrived at this figure. And I got told, shut your mouth and don't stir the pot. Well, I served on township boards, served on the county commission. As far as I'm concerned, that's not transparent. So I did a bunch of digging. And I know some of you commissioners have called me, even over the weekend. I don't mind. But the way this was handled, you violated the city charter. And it's pretty evident in the charter that the sale of property and everything has to be put out for sealed bids. The problem I see with this, and sometime around March 6th or 7th, it was discussed that this property was supposed to be put out for bid to see what you could get for it. That never materialized. This commission never took action on it. Sometime between there and in May, I haven't got it narrowed down all the way. All of a sudden, Adrian College brings in this bid for $240,000, I believe. There's people that are willing to pay over $400,000 for that piece of property. And now there's an investment company out of California that's interested in putting a bid in on it. This is a disjustice to the people of Adrian if this sham goes through. I haven't been able to prove it yet, but I'll keep digging. There were some backroom shenanigans done on this. And that's not being transparent with the voters that you people are elected to represent. This resolution shouldn't go any farther than this tonight, and it should be turned down, and you should follow the city charter that if you commissioners violate it, you're subject to a civil infraction. I've talked to Region 2. I've talked to the Attorney General's office last week. And depending on what happens tonight, how far we're going to push this. The people over there, I met with 20-some people this morning, are fed up with getting stepped on that side of town. Some people at the college have got big egos, probably eagles as big as that inflated diaper they put behind a bunch of people's houses over there. In the proposal of the sale of this property, there's nothing in there to say what kind of housing they're going to put there.
Thank you. Your time is up. Thank you.
Well, okay, thanks.
Hi, Jarek Tim, Adrian resident. I'm here tonight to again voice serious concerns about the proposed design of the downtown bike loop. While I applaud the city's commitment to improving our cycling infrastructure, the current plan fails to meet basic safety, usability, and comfort standards, jeopardizing its potential to serve our community effectively. The two-way bike track design creates dangerous conflict points at driveways and side streets. Drivers turning right often only look for traffic from the left, leaving cyclists approaching from the opposite direction against the expected flow of traffic at high risk. This outdated design was abandoned in Denmark over 20 years ago due to safety issues, and we should follow their lead. Second, most of the length of the proposed bidirectional bike lane consists of two 4-foot wide lanes. These are too narrow, forcing single file riding. This excludes families, social riders, and less confident cyclists, contradicting the goal of inclusive all ages infrastructure. Third, the intersection of Winter and Maumee is unintuitive and hazardous, and asking 15 people how they'd navigate the proposed design, not one navigated it correctly. Many assumed dismounting was required, creating sudden stops and collision risks. Worse, to properly navigate it, cyclists heading east will need to stop for a green light to continue straight. This will encourage dangerous behavior like crossing against the light or biking against the flow of traffic. The other intersections also do everything they can to keep riders on the bike loop, making it dangerous for people using bikes as a form of transportation that need to leave the bike loop. Finally, the plan misses critical opportunities for traffic calming and pedestrian safety. 11-foot wide traffic lanes will encourage speeds up to 90 or 49 miles per hour, while the sidewalks on the opposite side of the street from the bike loop continue to have no separation from motor vehicles. I've prepared a redesign that eliminates two-way conflict by aligning bike traffic with vehicle flow and unidirectional protected bike lanes, widens those bike lanes to 6 feet for social and family riding, implements protected intersections to ensure cyclists can navigate safely and intuitively. When I asked the same people to test my intersection design, most got it right their very first try. Doesn't strand people biking on the wrong side of the street if they need to leave the loop, and slightly narrows the proposed traffic lanes to calm speeds. It prioritizes equity by ensuring safe, pleasant walking and cycling on both sides of the street. This approach follows NACTO and international best practices, reduces impermeable surfaces, and creates a scalable model for future safe routes, giving our city the opportunity to take advantage of other grants in the future. I've taken my design to open houses and shared it with residents. I've yet to find someone say they wouldn't prefer my design over the proposed. At the most recent open house, myself and others raised concerns about the bidirectional design. City staff took my designs and said they would discuss them with the design team. We must remember the design team doesn't live here, and being a private business has a profit motive. Even if they bike, they'll never have to use the infrastructure they're proposing. These are our streets, and they should be what's best for us, not what
Your time
someone
is up.
outside the
Thank you.
community considers good enough for us. Thank you.
Good evening. I'm Jim Berryman, 676 Stonecrest in Adrian. I will say that I am a member of the Board of Trustees at Adrian College, but my comments do not represent the Board of Trustees. They're mine this evening. I want to be here to support the agreement between the City of Adrian, Adrian College, and Adrian College purchasing the property, which is the old Adrian Inn. Adrian College, we are very fortunate in the city of Adrian, whether it's Adrian College, Siena Heights University, to have these two institutions that economically are a tremendous benefit to the city of Adrian. They bring students here, they bring parents here. And when I heard a gentleman before say that these are backroom deals, I'm offended by that. I wasn't going to say anything, but I heard that, and that's absolutely ridiculous. Adrian College has been out in front for years to today to try to do everything they can to enhance the population of Adrian College? Absolutely. But every time they do something to bring a student to Adrian College or retain a student to Adrian College, that is a benefit to the city of Adrian. Adrian College has shown time and time again, all you have to do is look at the campus. I hear this from people over and over and over again. Look at the campus. And what does that tell you when you drive into the city? They do a tremendous job of presenting the school to prospective students and parents, but also anyone and everyone else that drives into the city of Adrian. This is one more opportunity that we can allow Adrian College to make a positive difference into the city of Adrian. I wholeheartedly support you and their commitment to move this forward. Thank you.
Hello, Aaron Cheshire, City of Adrian resident. I just wanted to add on to what Jarek said about the bike plan. I was also in attendance at the open house last Tuesday. I was one of the people that got it right when he talked about his redesign and how to navigate through it. The other design didn't seem safe or even understandable, honestly, with how they're putting it together. And like Jarek said, the professionals that put together the original bike plan, they might have visited, but they haven't driven here for years. They haven't been biking here for years, and Jarek has. He immediately knew there was an issue with it and then redesigned a whole plan just to provide something safer. I reviewed that plan that he specifically sent you guys, and I think that it's honestly just the much safer plan for our citizens. Please take that into consideration. Thanks.
Keith Miller, City of Adrian. Now, I'm talking about the Adrian College too. Adrian and the president or CEO, Jeff Docking, makes $743,000 a year. Not bad for a nonprofit. $357.82 an hour. The college has assets of $177,719,715, and they have an endowment of $50.6 million. And they've done $120 million worth of improvements over the last 20 years. Okay, out of all that improvements, if you give them the Adrian Inn for $250,000, that's going to give them access from the service road where the arch is all the way to Maumee. And they already have 132 acres inside the city that is nonprofit. If you do $2,000 an acre, that's $264,000 a year in tax money we're not getting, plus you're going to give them more. You know, my taxes are $2,000 a year and I have a quarter of an acre. So I don't understand why we got to give them such a great deal on this Adrian Inn. It isn't like God's making more land. It's at a premium. You either want it or you don't want it. And $250,000 plus the cost of demolition is cheap. Too cheap, being that we have $1.1 million into it. So why would we give it away for 250 grand and let them take it, demo it for another 250? Why don't we give it to them for 900,000 and take a loss, but at least we're going to get something back. they're not gonna get any more land. It's not like they're making more. So they either want the land or they don't. That's about all I got to say on that. The housing help, I looked all the way through that agenda and I didn't see one thing in the agenda on the internet about the housing help, how much they want. There's nothing on it about it. So could you all tell us what they want from us before you go into the closed door meeting on this? I mean, I'd like to know if we owe them 60,000, if we owe them 40,000. It'd be nice to know, but it's not even on the internet. There's not even one mention of the housing help in your agenda on the city government website. And I went through all 80 pages. Y'all have a blessed day.
Hi, my name is Linda Kane and I live on Howell Highway, Adrian Township. And what I'm interested in is the Witt Farm update. And that is because for quite some time, my family has been interested in purchasing a section of that property, which is on Howell Highway. I know the land stretches across to M52, but we're just interested in what's on Howell Highway. Our family property, which has been in our family for 5 generations now, is directly across the street from that. And we have inquired at the city before about purchasing that land. And I only have one email that is left. It was from 2 years ago when we inquired about that property. And we were told then that it was not for sale. They were not interested in selling it. And they said that we could submit a proposal, but we never did that. We were just kind of clueless of what to do because they said it wasn't for sale anyway. So in the meantime, we have called a few more times. Other members of my family have called and wanted to find out more information about whether a piece of that land could be sectioned off that we could purchase, and never got anywhere until the day that I emailed Vince, and he responded, and here I am. So that's what I'm interested in, and we're just talking about 15 acres probably of that property. Thank you.
Hearing no more public comment inside the city chambers, we will now open it up to the Zoom participants for items on the agenda.
Hi, Glenn Preston, Sand Creek. Good evening, Mayor, Commissioners, and members of the community. As I mentioned, my name is Glenn Preston, and I am a veteran. I appreciate the opportunity to speak with you. I'm here to respectfully voice my opposition to the proposal to place personalized bricks for placement in Monument Park. Monument Park is not just another public space. It is a place of solemn remembrance. It exists to honor the men and women from Lenawee County who gave their lives in service to our nation. Their names, etched in stone on the Civil War monument and remembered throughout other memorials, represent the highest sacrifice a person can make. Placing bricks with individual names, regardless of intent, fundamentally changes the purpose of this space. It risks turning a place of collective honor into a patchwork of personal recognition, and I believe that would dilute its meaning. This park is not about donors or living veterans like myself. It is about those who never came home. I say this not out of disrespect, but out of deep respect for what Monument Park stands for. As a veteran, I don't believe my name belongs there. That ground is hallowed. It should remain dedicated solely to those who gave everything. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Hearing no more public comment, we will now move on to proclamations. And June is Pride Month, and so we are going to read that proclamation, and then this will be placed outside the mayor's office in City Hall. Whereas the city of Adrian supports the rights of every citizen to experience equality and freedom from discrimination. And whereas all people, regardless of age, gender identity, race, color, religion, marital status, national origin, sexual orientation, or physical challenges, have the right to be treated on the basis of their intrinsic value as human beings. And whereas the city of Adrian accepts and welcomes people of diverse backgrounds and believes a diverse population leads to a more vibrant community. And whereas the lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, queer, or questioning intersex and asexual communities contribute to the cultural, civic, and economic successes of the city of Adrian. And whereas we as a society must acknowledge that the need for education and awareness remains vital to end discrimination and prejudice. Now therefore, I, Angela Sword-Heath, Mayor of the City of Adrian, do hereby proclaim June of 2025 as Pride Month in Adrian, Michigan, recognizing all LGBTQIA+ citizens whose influential and lasting contributions to our community make Adrian a vibrant place in which to live, work, and visit. At this time, we will now have our informational discussion topics, and we will begin with the Witt Farm update. And Jay Marks will be presenting that.
Good evening.
Good evening.
As we go into the Witt Farm conversation, I want to talk a little bit about exempt property and tax revenue. We've had several questions over the last few meetings about how much there is, what the implications are and everything. So I thought I'd put together a little bit of a presentation so you guys can see that and just understand how much exempt property we have. So I apologize for this map, but to get everything in there, it's quite small. All of the pink highlighted properties are the exempt properties within the city of Adrian. So you're looking at Siena Heights, Adrian College, Adrian Public Schools, our parks, all of the nonprofit organizations that we have that own real property in the community. That's 27% of total acreage, 1,225 acres of exempt property in the city. There's 4,520 total acres in the city of Adrian. So about 27% of that is exempt. The rest of those are the contributing taxable properties in the community. So to give you a breakdown, if you look at those contributing properties in 2024 for taxable property, total taxes collected was $22 million. Now that encapsulates a bunch of different things. The top two in green are what impacts the city, local streets and the city millage. But our partners are the library, the schools, the LISD, there's a county millage in there as well. So I wanted you to see that. If you were to extrapolate that out to a per acre price, this is what you would see. That's how much that we're leaving on the table per se, if you had value of those properties. I'm not saying we should have that value, just kind of giving you the delta of what that would be. The other thing to understand is this is a very high level comparison. Each property has its own value and its own taxable value, depending on how it's improved or not. To use a phrase that Commissioner Binky used to use in his previous job, this is social studies math. We're not getting into the details of each individual property and what it looks like. It's a very high level look, but it encompasses the value of all the properties. So the total real value would be that 22 million per acre. It would be $4,900 per acre with the 4,220 acres. If it's just valued with a contributing property, it'd be $6,700 per acre. So again, give you that high level look of just what it is, assuming all properties are treated equal. And we know they're not because we have the homestead properties and the non-homestead properties have a higher millage at 18 mills that they get on those. So another thing to consider, if we had a 1% increase in exempt property, that would equal about 12.25 acres. 1 year implication of all of those taxing jurisdictions would be $82,000 that they wouldn't collect. So you look at 22,000 for the city, 1,500 for streets, 4,000 for the library, all the way down. The bigger look is what does that look like in 10 years? So assuming 3% inflation, which is very conservative, and looking at those, that's almost $1 million in tax revenue uncollected for that 12 and a quarter acres. So again, just with all the questions that it took place and different things, I wanted to kind of give you that information so we can understand where we are and how it's comparable. I will tell you that I've spoken to the city of Tecumseh, and they've got some different numbers on exactly how much exempt property they have. Some think it's lower, some think it's closer to ours. Their big difference is they have less total acreage, but they have a $500,000 more on their city millage that they collect. So they're actually getting more dollars into their city coffers from that capability. So they're able to do a little bit more with less acreage, so to speak. Any questions on that? What farm property assessment update? So this is what Manic Smith is doing for us. And so these are kind of the bullet points that they're doing on the topographic and boundary survey, which is mostly complete. Conceptual site plans, which shows the roadways, the utilities, that's mostly complete. Geotechnical, they're working on that right now. They're doing an environmental assessment, so wetlands, phase 1, and then the capacity study for utilities, water, sewer, electrical, gas, all of those things. As we go into the next one, over the last 8 months, we received RFPs from the Detroit Regional Partnership. So the Detroit has the counties that they send their RFPs out for industrial sites. We see that the minimum square footage requested from them has been 15,000 square feet. The maximum has been 1.4 million, and the median's about 100,000 square feet of industrial space. They ask questions like zoning, ceiling height, multi-tenant, distance to airport, all the utility information, et cetera. Just today, actually, I was contacted by the Detroit Regional Partnership about this project, and they're interested in putting us into their VIP program, which is verifiable industrial properties, and they do extra marketing with that, and that's something that they offer as a free service. So the information we're giving them, they will actually put that out there and help market the spaces that we have available. Last thing I want to show you with this is there are 2 conceptual drawings that Manic Smith has put together for us in that area around Whit Farm. So if you see that diagonal line coming through there, that's M52. In the bottom left-hand corner, that's where Gaslight Village is. And then kind of up in that top right corner, that's where the oil well is. So you can see the layout of these properties throughout the configuration there. There's essentially 5 lots that will allow these buildings to go in there. And they range from that smaller section right on 52 that they see that could be a multi-use facility. So think the mixed-use commercial and maybe some small industrial, all the way up to 100,000 square foot in lot 1, which is that bottom one on the left-hand side. And then there's 16 and 80,000 square foot. So it gives you some ideas of what could go in that space, not necessarily that has to, but what could, and that'll help potential companies look at what they might be able to fit in there. Here's another conceptual size. These are much smaller buildings. We've got one really larger building and the rest of them are smaller. Based on the feedback from the RFPs, I don't see this being a place where we'd put those smaller buildings in there, but the market will dictate that for us, right? They will do it. We may also get interest from a spec builder to come in and put in a spec building to help recruit information and to bring people in. So that's what we're focusing on, getting this information and making the market have as much information as possible to bring in potential developers. That's where we are in this. We expect it to last about another 2 months before they have the final report done. We'll then go on the state of Michigan site and working with Detroit Regional Partnership to have this information out there to bring them to bring potential industrial sites in. Any questions on that part?
So is this currently zoned as industrial?
It's zoned PUD right now. So it's up to the planning commission to decide that, but that's what it's zoned as right now. It's kind of a catch-all when we acquired the property.
Okay. So it could be housing or?
That one kind of depends. It's in the LDFA and that could have implications on the TIF as well as the relationship with Adrian Tecumseh and the LDFA. So the city can do whatever it wants, just understand that it would affect that relationship.
With the grant that we received, the roadways that you, were showing in there, does the grant pay for that, or was it just the current work that you were listing, the surveys and those?
So those roadways they're not fully designed, but they're put in there to give you an idea, and it'll have general information. We have right now the one inroad designed, and that was paid for by the LDFA. So this doesn't give you the specs of the road, so to speak, but it gives you the general placement and what that size and width would be of those roads.
So moving forward, we heard a member of the community tonight and then another member of the community with Sam Buford. How does that plan, those two kind of examples there, mix in with kind of not offers on the table, but other concepts that aren't industrial buildings?
So I'm not 100% confident where the other request was. I think I have an idea, and that would be south. It's not considered into this part. In the initial Sam Buford conversation, it doesn't affect, it's not into this part, into this design either.
The initial conversation, but not the.
The most recent conversation is it would affect that, but not the initial one, not the one where they're talking through the agreement now.
Okay.
Okay, can you go to the next one? So I want to apologize for this this presentation. These are going to be the construction drawings, and they don't view very well up here, but I will make sure that you can have them. With both this presentation for the Winter Street Walk and Bike Loop and with the Town Square, we will be bringing those to you for approval at the next meeting. So that's why we wanted to talk about them here. And we can talk about some of the comments that were made today as well. So in this first section here, you're seeing South Winter Street that's going from Main to Church. There's no design changes in the actual street there. We're keeping that the way it is today. So think of that point by the fire station up to Church Street. We really need that turn radius and availability for the fire trucks to get in and out of the area there. The main changes here you're going to see is consistent lighting that we have in the 4 blocks of downtown, and the addition of trees going along here to really bring that into a walkable, city street. This section here is the first one. It's going to be from Church to Maumee on Winter Street, where you really start seeing the expansion of the sidewalks, the narrowing of the street. You can see some of the additional tree boxes that are in there, which are very tough to see. I apologize. And no on-street parking in this section. So that's one of the big changes where we've eliminated on-street parking. We have a meeting tomorrow with the current designers, the Smith Group. We had shared this with them from the last public meeting, but we're going to reiterate it and go back with them to narrow those travel lanes down and increase that bike path. So as we were looking through it, we realized that they hadn't taken our changes into consideration in that most recent one. So we're having a meeting with them tomorrow to have them adjust that. This one's going to take you from Maumee to Washburn, essentially. So you can see your first point where the bike lane comes into play. Again, reduction of on-street parking, decreased lanes for travel lanes. You can see where the lane starts to go down towards Comstock Park. And then you can see the adjustment coming off of Main Street to that area as well. Again, more trees, and a reoccurring thing, right? More trees, more downtown lighting. There's very little lighting that's available there, or it's the tall Cobra arms. This is going to be lower lights, bollards and lights every other one to really open up that area and make it feel welcoming. The next one takes you on North Winter Street from Washburn to Front. Same scenario there. You'll see more rounded corners, protecting on-street parking on Washburn. You will see the lack of on-street parking and the bike lanes going through there. Then we get to Winter Street, Front to Maple. Again, turning the corner from Maple onto Winter. is the bike loop there. You will see a little bit of on-street parking that we've added on Front Street because of the courthouse right there and the lack of public parking to really help people go back and forth across there. And then kind of another protected radius right there at Front or at Winter and Maple.
Excuse me, where is the public parking for the courthouse?
If you look, Winter Street goes across. If you look right, as you come down, Front Street right there.
Yeah.
On the left-hand side, there's a couple spaces there. And then below that entry, farther down on the other side of the street, there's some more parking. I don't know if I can point to it. I probably can't. And there's another picture that'll show a little bit better too. This is taking you down Maple to the trail. So this would be the entry point coming off the trail up Maple towards Winter. So you see the protected bike loop there, as well as the protecting point at the crosswalk for traffic coming up that way. Excuse me one moment. So this is Front Street from Winter to Main. On the bottom, on the left-hand side, that dark area, that's actually going to be an elevated crosswalk that will take you as you go from Main Street to Winter Street. So it'll kind of be like a big hump going over there. And then on the top of Front Street there, there's where two sections of parking are right there. You see the kind of trapezoids going on?
I think so. It's really hard to tell.
It is, and I apologize. That was the best photos that I could get for it. One key thing in this area is that curve as you come down Main Street and would turn onto Front, that radius has become more sharp. So to help truck traffic go the truck route, as opposed to going on Front Street, that's really the design characteristic there. We want local traffic. We don't want a bunch of truck traffic going through there or coming through downtown. And then the last, or two more slides here. This is the end of the trail at, the end of the bike trail at the trail on Maumee Street. So if you see right there, Church Street is that section going down to the bottom of the photo. There's a new crosswalk that'll take you from across Maumee there. So from Church, basically across to the trail side. And then also right there at the trail area, there'll be kind of a little bike roundabout to help guide traffic and protect as you're coming on and off of the two-way bike trail right there. The same thing, this is just that section from Winter to the bridge on Maumee Street. Again, more trees, lights, you'll see that all the way through the project. 71 additional trees are being put on the street. I don't remember exactly, probably close to the same number of lights. No, 100 and should have wrote it down. It was over 100 lights and bollards going on there as well. So it'll be lit just like downtown all the way through. And that's the end of that one. Any questions about the bike loop, the trail?
So it'll be the shorter 3-4 foot lights that we have outside here.
So it'll be both. So it'll be just like the design is out here. We'll have the 12-foot lights, and then we'll have the shorter bollards, every other one through there.
Okay.
So you're not getting a bunch of light pollution, but you're well lit and safe throughout there. The taller lights wash up the buildings and the bollards really wash over the sidewalks.
And just to clarify, so the bike width is expanded the whole way of all the bike loop, or just on that one section of the street, like?
The expansion of so we have talked to the designers and we're gonna meet with them again tomorrow to narrow the drive lanes and expand the bike lane.
Okay.
And so we're hoping to get a couple feet to expand that bike lane. That was the direction we'd given them previously, and we realized in the public presentation that it hadn't taken place.
And that's throughout that whole,
Yep, throughout that whole, where
Awesome.
they can do that. Yep.
thank you.
Is there a reason why we don't like what Mr. Tim has been proposing? Because no one here has come and said, we want 2-lane bike roads. You know, I think my experience driving a bike and what we see downtown already is one direction going the direction of traffic, another direction going the other way. I mean, does it come down to money? Is this just the Smith Group coming with the latest fad of, hey, we want to put this in and it worked well in somewhere else in another town and we did it there and it's going to work good here, or how's it land?
So fair question. When the conversation initially started, there were groups of people in that initial conversation with this design, and those included the Smith Group, representatives from the city, which I just sat there because I'm not a designer or a specialist that comes with it. The former city administrator was there. And then we had two different representatives from the state of Michigan that are specialists in this. There was a bike specialist, and then there was another mobility specialist that was there. And they spoke about the transitions, all of those things. This was the design that collectively they decided was the best for this area. I don't know the reasoning why, and they were talking about a lot of acronyms of different standards that they were using, and it was well above my understanding of what they were doing, but they're the experts, right? Especially the Department of Transportation. That's what they do every day, and that was the design that they liked with this. So I beyond that, I don't know. So they're the ones that are paying they're the ones that are coming up with a 5.1 or $5.5 million grant for this to help us get that done. So that's where the design came from. So the next one, the town square, we'll go through this one. You'll see in this section right here, B and C. C is the town square itself. So where we'll have kind of that pavilion area, the bandshell area, and then B will be along Maiden Lane where the micro retail shops are. What you don't see in this picture is the Gene Christopher lot. We have decided to hold off on that and set money aside, as we don't know what's going to happen with 121 and 123 West Maumee yet. So we want to wait and see what happens there. So we're setting those dollars aside for this construction. A little bit about it, how they got to this point. So obviously we're the Maple City, some timeless architecture, the arts, and then engineering pioneers. That's what helped motivate them for their design. And you'll see some unique characteristics through the design standards here. They really focused a lot on history. So the Page Woven Wire Fence Company, the rails, they talked a lot about Adrian having that first railroad that was horse-drawn to take you down to Toledo, and those long lines and characteristics through the design process. Some of the materials you'll see are brick. You'll see those gabion cages there that will have some reclaimed brick in it to kind of give you that wire fence feel. They're looking at some greenery and some of the wood that are going to help design that. So conceptual designs here, you'll notice that they're looking at those, again, those long lines. That red line in their concept is kind of like a train track to help get you through the space and around the space. Some of the benches represent those long rail lines through the process. And here's the projected layout. So the green rectangles on the right-hand side, that's going to be open area where people can sit and view the concerts, have game areas. At the very end of those, you'll see two red rectangles. Those are going to be fireplaces that'll be there. They'll obviously be time controlled and available during certain times of day. The blue area is where that bandshell is going to be, and there's a long roof extending over that. We'll see that coming up. And then the three blue sections are going to be the micro retail shops, and we've got designs of those coming as well. This is the design of one of the micro retail shops. So it's about 230, 240 square feet. You'll see the door at the top of the photo there to let you in, like a regular entry door, but on the ends, they're garage roll-up doors. So they can roll those up and actually wheel some of their stuff out into that space when it's nicer weather to really engage with the traffic that comes through. These will be white box, so they will come in and can change it as they want to. They will have a mini split in there, so there'll be some heating and cooling to extend the time they can be in there, so it's not going to be overly hot in that space. This is that bandshell area. So in there, and this would be closest to the buildings. So kind of on that Maiden Lane side, the retail rental, that'll be that area right there. And we're going to outfit that with some cabinets and a hand sink. So we can rent that out as a usable space. If someone wants to have an event there, they can actually use that. The utilities and storage area where we'll have chairs, various things in there. And then the two handicap accessible unisex restrooms will be there as well. The building materials, we're looking at something that's very low maintenance, long durable products. So we're not looking at annual maintenance on that. There may be some that will require a little bit of touch up, but we're hoping that it'll have that weathered look and go through, that we won't have to have any continued maintenance happening there. So durability, one of the concerns was the bottom 18 inches on those buildings because of snow removal coming through there, anything that would happen. We didn't want wood that low. So there's going to be 18 inches of block there. It will coordinate with those gabion cages that have the reclaimed brick in them and protect the foundations of those buildings. And then you'll see on the top left there, that's the bandshell area with the roof extending over. You can see that small shop that will have be on the right-hand side to be available for rental. On the left-hand side, that's going to be a large display screens where we could have movie nights or host tailgate parties, all of the things that we could do there, but really designed to have music or community interaction coming out of there. Again, we know that for this space to be successful, the DDA is going to have to program this 4 to 5 nights a week. The constant flow of entertainment and things happening downtown, and this will really allow us to do that for a variety of different engagements. On the bottom right-hand side, you'll see kind of what that lane looks like with the shops there, with the gabions and the garage doors. This is kind of a bird's eye view looking back towards the back of the buildings from the parking lot. You'll see that we'll have spaces for 2 food trucks there that can connect. Kind of gives you that overhead view of the roof lines that you can see back into the town square off to the right there. Again, one of the retail shops looking through, and you should be able to see all the way through them with the roll-up doors that go through. So, if they choose to, they can roll those up and bring their wares out into the space there. Another picture of those, offering some of that lighting, and you'll see some lighting pictures here in just a moment, but give you kind of that festoon lighting, so that warm glow, again, reducing light pollution, but keeping it well lit and safe. This would be that food truck area. You're looking at the backs of the buildings on Maumee Street. You have a food truck area on either side. We'll have electrical in the space for them so they can plug in, so we don't have generators and all of that ongoing noise. Figure we'll have some tables there where they can sit and really enjoy those areas. This, I think, is probably one of my favorite features. So on top of that micro retail space, which is really 2, it can be 1 large one or 2. We've put a patio up on the roof there, so you can actually go up if you get something from the food truck or you get a beverage from the social district. You can sit up there and hang out and watch people go by. I think it's just a really unique concept, and I think it'll be a very inviting space for people. Again, another picture of that, kind of that bandshell area, what it might look like with a television screen in there for movies, with some seating available. One more view from the parking lot looking at that area. We can go to the next one. And this is what I think is really cool about the lighting. So in-ground lighting that will come up, but not wash everywhere, but keep that safe look there. And that's kind of those 2 train tracks going down the promenade there. And then we'll have in-roof lighting kind of in the eave there to give you that lit area, but not directly in your face and overpowering lights throughout the space. And this is what we see it being active at night. Some more of that festoon lighting. You can see the fireplaces there, kind of the lit in the background. So it gives you that nice, that nice bandshell feel. But there's enough lighting where you can, engage in some yard games and really share that time with your family and friends. And then just another picture of that. You'll notice in the foreground, we've got it set so there'll be some type of bench seating along there, along with those gabion cages to really carry that kind of historic feel through the space, but again, be as welcoming as you possibly can. And that's it for that presentation. Any questions on those items?
How big of the screen are we talking about there?
We're looking to see what we can get. We're thinking probably about 120-inch diagonal screen.
Okay, so not necessarily that big.
10 feet, I mean, 10 feet diagonal, pretty significant, but we're not a drive-in, right? We think that that's enough based on the technicians that'll get us back probably to the fireplaces. You could see it, but not any farther than that. So you wouldn't be able to stand on Main Street and necessarily make out what's happening on the screen.
And is that one item or just one, or is it sectional, or is it broad? Is it like projection?
Well, the budget doesn't allow for a sectional one because I would have loved to have one of those, but it doesn't allow for it. So that would be one screen. That's the largest single outdoor, weatherproof screen is 120 inches.
Just, and I just raised the concern because all of the electronic signs from all of Adrian Public Schools are now gone. The electronic sign in front of Gleaner is now gone. And, the life expectancy of those is, just concerning. I think the same thing's true with, at least it's somewhat bigger than downtown signs, so you can be able to see it.
Yeah, we had a conversation and there was actually, they presented this phenomenal roll-up screen that was LED. And we couldn't afford it. I mean, it was about $250,000. And that was the same concern. What happens when a unit goes out? How much is the replacement cost? What does that look like? We know that a television, it's still expensive, is not as expensive. It's those sectional LED screens. That's why we're looking at the commercial outdoor televisions to go in there.
And is there a protective barrier in front of that, or?
In front of the television, yeah, there's actually designed to have a door that would come across and lock and close to protect the TV when it's not in use.
Thank you. Just one last thing, going back to the previous presentation about the two-way traffic. For those of us from Adrian that grew up here and attended Springbrook. So in 1974, the school district was sold this wonderful idea about the open classroom concept. And this is the latest craze, and this is the best thing in education, to have this type of learning taking place. And the school district bought into that, and school districts around the state and country did. I taught in a previous open classroom, and I cannot find any one open classroom still yet around. So while we have consultants that are saying this is the best thing to have these 2-lane traffic lanes over here, and this is the way to go, I just grow cautious that we're building something that is not what makes the best sense when it comes to that design. And I go back to that as an example of someone from the outside making a sale, and then thousands and thousands of dollars need to be used later to build walls within Springbrook because the open classroom design isn't there. So
no, I completely understand. And again, when I was in that room, I wasn't the expert. We had the MDOT, the Department of Transportation there, along with the designers, and that's what they came up with collectively. So they're the expert. MDOT is the expert when it comes to this for the state of Michigan.
Was that the only design, or was that their design?
That's what the group came up with collectively, and they did evaluate both sides, but I don't know where they went and how it got to this final point.
So is this the done deal? Like this is it. The train has left the station, the bike is ridden down the hill. Or is there any conversation to go down with this concern, or are we just done with the talk?
I think if we go down a path to change the design, we jeopardize receiving the grant.
Jay, how long have we been working on this?
A year, about a year. We've gone through, several open houses, shared the information. We've reported here a few times, gone through those. We have a strict timeline with this grant in order to hit those things. And the next benchmark is getting it approved. Then we have to go to bid process. The letting is in November for construction next year. If we don't hit those timelines, it takes us out of that construction window. And the grant application is only good for that construction window. And then that pushes other things within the enhancement grant because we have a short time to spend that grant as well.
So you're looking at construction starting next spring?
Yep, next spring, April of 2026.
Okay.
On the town square, you
Mhm.
know what I'm going to ask? You already know. Are there going to be at least a play, like a small play structure or something for littler children as well, for families up there, up by near those fireplaces in that green space?
So if you remember back in the earlier designs, we had it on the former Gene Christopher property. I think that will probably be the best location for it. With fire, we don't want,
Okay.
toddlers running around in that area. So I think it'll probably be there. We just really have to find out what happens with those two buildings, because we can't really construct anything there until they determine what they're doing.
That was going to be my next question. How long will we be able to keep that money if that keeps getting delayed with us knowing? I guess that's my question.
So we should be okay with that because of the donation that we received. That'll be money that will move over to that side.
Okay, thanks.
Okay,
Thanks for your presentation.
thank you.
Thank you.
At this time, we will now do the Monument Park restoration discussion, and Jeremiah Davies will be coming forth to begin that discussion. Thank you.
Good evening, Mayor and Commissioners. Here to provide you with first looking for your guidance and also kind of an update on a project that some of you may know, may not know about. And I want to preface my statements before we get into this because this has been kind of a lively conversation. I'm coming to you as your Parks Director, but I'm also coming to you as a United States Marine and a veteran of the War on Terrorism. When I started in 2021, my first week, I was approached by a citizen asking about the Monument Park restoration project. And from that conversation, I immediately started looking into it. And from that conversation, I was put in touch with a member of the group, the committee that had started to work on this project. And that committee members here, Ms. Casey Bolton. So we had a conversation early on, kind of brought me up to speed on where they're at. This was November of 21. And this was started in 2017 to start restoring the Civil War monument that's at Monument Park. With the caveat of that any leftover money or some of the money that was invested would be used to purchase donor bricks, right? To put donor bricks in the park. So there's kind of a two-phase approach to this. One, restore the monument itself, working on those brass plates that you see around it, some other issues with it. And then with that remaining money, purchase bricks to put into the park. So that's what was raised or started. It raised $18,000. I was told there's roughly 150 of those purchased. So I met with Casey in November of 2021, got brought up to speed, talked about it. To my understanding, there was no official action taken by the city in 2017 when this first was started. It was just kind of a discussion, kind of like we're having tonight. So I asked for kind of a plan, right? What is this going to look like? What exactly are you looking for? And Casey kind of informed me on that. The next conversation I had with her was in November of 2022. again, kind of looking for an update where we were. Since then, I've had no communication with that group until I was invited to a meeting with Commissioner Banky and Commissioner Castleberry and members of the committee to raise these funds back on May 23rd, so just a couple of weeks ago. At this point, they're wanting to move forward with this project. But one of the things that's come up in talking to residents, and one of the great things about my job is I get to get out in the public. I talk to people all the time, and I like to just throw questions out about current city issues, things that are happening, and to get their feedback. One of the things that I've gotten from veterans, and again, I can share this perspective, is that they were against it, right? And I understand that. I took it to heart, listened to it. But I also understand I can look at the other side of those that invested, $50 to $75 for a brick. And so what I've done for you in your packets kind of highlighted some of the things that are at Monument Park there, right? There's quite a few plaques, everything from the Civil War up through the War on Terrorism, as well as Missing in Action POW plaques and an Armed Forces of America plaque. And so again, looking through your packet there, I highlighted some of those that are in there. That final page on the back, and I highlighted the area, was the targeted area for these bricks. And you can see that takes up kind of a small space. The current bricks that are actually surrounding the monument are from the Townsend Block Company. It was a company from Zanesville, Ohio from the 1800s. So that's what's currently there. So really kind of where I'm at, and I'm going to give Carol an opportunity to come up and talk about it. But really at this point, what I'm looking for from you all is kind of guidance on your thoughts, on where we should go with this project. One of the great things, again, about talking to people is I've talked to some that thought the original project was to create a walkway. It's completely not true. The sole intent of this was for the restoration of the Civil War monument. And again, with that caveat of putting donor bricks in there. So again, I'm looking kind of for direction from you, but I do want to give Casey an opportunity to come speak to you, as her and I have talked quite a few times about this. So when she's done talking, if you have questions for her, I will come back up and we can discuss this further. So Casey, would you like to come up?
Jeremiah. Carol Bolton, 923 East Church. Good evening, Commissioners. I would also like to introduce Marilyn Kay, who is the Vice President of the Michigan Department, and Linda Kronberg, who is the past National President of the Sons of the Union Civil War Veterans. They are also here with us tonight. The majestic Civil War Monument was a second monument dedicated to the Civil War in Michigan. The Adrian Soldier Monument was registered as a Michigan Historic Site on August 13, 1971, and was placed on the National Register of Historic Places on June 29th in 1972. The monument has been in the same location for 155 years, with only the addition of the bronze plaques. There was no mention of other cleaning or restoration found in our research. 86 local and many recognizable family names appear on the bronze plaques, which need to be cleaned and preserved. The monument has weathered over the years. The sandstone has degraded and in some places broke. The monument is in dire need of cleaning and repair. And we need to maintain the historical significance of the oldest monument within our park to continue having the best representation of all service members within our community. Our committee highlights the Civil War Soldiers Monument as the main project for restoration. A complete assessment of the monument has been done by Ken Thompson of Flatlanders in Blissfield. Their scope of work is to clean the monument, resculpt the missing scroll on the Capitol and reattach, remove wire attached to the monument, do Dutchman repairs along with tin tuck pointing several areas, which include the base between the monument and the hardscape the base rests on, and professionally restore the 8 bronze name plaques. This cost will be $15,000. Through the sale of the bricks, it is a way to fund the necessary restoration that is so badly needed. 3 sizes of bricks were available and will create a pleasing patchwork and point of interest for our park and community. Allowing for the bricks to be placed in the park as has been promised in the past by the city, the bricks have been sold and donations accepted towards the restoration of the monument. People of all walks of life have purchased bricks in memory, in honor, to a service member, people living on the east side and out of state, highlighting a military service career, a business honoring our veterans. It is so important to honor, respect, and remember those from our city who fought so brilliantly those many years ago for our liberty and union. Remembering brings about mystic chords of memory. As stated by President Abraham Lincoln, we all have shared a history of family members, neighbors, friends, and perhaps even yourself of serving proudly in the service of the United States. These are things that bond us together as a nation. The men on the Civil War Monument gave the ultimate sacrifice to unite these states and build a strong nation. It deserves restoration as a centerpiece of our park. So, any questions?
Hey Z, can you tell us, in 2017, like how did this start and why were you, selling bricks? Why did you come about?
To
this
raise
pro-
monies
Yeah.
for the restoration of the monument. That was our primary concern. The monument really needs to be restored, and a group of us came together that was interested in doing the restoration, and we talked to the city, and originally the bricks were going to go around the base of the monument and do a design there. And so we proceeded along the path of restoring the monument.
So when you say you talked to the city, who was that?
There was Steve McGee, myself, Linda Kronberg, Marilyn K. Smith, Karen and Danny Hammond, Amy Grayer and her daughter, and Karen and Danny Hammond, and a number of others that have came and gone.
I meant who did you talk to? Was it here? Was it the city?
Who from the
administrator at
city?
Time, yeah, who from the
Well,
city?
it was through the parks with the mayor and at that time, and I believe it was Chuck. So yes,
And was it did you make a presentation to the city commission or how, like, who said it's okay to start selling bricks?
it was at a meeting in the park. Wasn't anything that was official. But because of that promise, we did go ahead and sell the bricks. I don't know if anything official came through the Parks Department or whatever for it.
And do we know, so was that a verbal, "Hey, you can start selling the bricks"? Was that the parks director at the time and the mayor at the time, or how did that all work?
Essentially, yes,
And the reason you sold the bricks was to restore the monument.
correct. To raise the
And
monies, the $15,000 for that.
so the city said, we don't have enough money to restore the monument, or they weren't going to spend the money for it, or do we know, was it because obviously you're selling bricks to restore it. So the
Yes.
city said, no, we're not going to restore it.
Never really asked the city for the monies for restoration. So we just took it upon ourselves and the various service groups and vets specifically. Dave Loop is a service officer with the AMVets. He's also on our committee from the beginning.
Casey, you stated a couple of quotes that concern me. You started this in 2017 and it's 8 years later. And you said it was in dire need of cleaning and repair, and it's so badly needed. If it was so badly needed and such dire need of repair in 2017, why is it taking you 8 years to come back to us?
COVID struck.
COVID, yeah, COVID was a couple of years.
That stopped a lot of the momentum, and we tried to get some momentum started after that. And then family situations came up and surgeries and accidents and that type of thing. And so since
There
last
were
year,
3 years before COVID hit, though, between 2017 and 2020.
yes,
And you raised how much? Did you raise the 15,000 by then, possibly?
well, back at that time, it was 10,000 for the repair of it. And I believe we were at 8,000 at that time.
So you've continued to raise funds over this last 8 years
Yes,
without coming back to talk to the city. And even when Mr. Davies tried to reach out to you a couple of times.
that is correct. And I'm sorry about that.
I just have to say, things change. No one here, it was in 2017. And so I have a concern about a couple of things that have happened. And I understand the money that you've raised is wonderful, and the idea of it is wonderful. If it's something that the city wants to have happen and approves of. And
Yes.
so cities like you, as you know, counties need to have approvals and resolutions. And we, our former people up here, there was no approval or resolution.
Yeah.
So we are essentially starting at the beginning right now of approving this project.
That is correct.
So I just want you to make sure that that's where you're at. Whether it gets approved or not, we would have to go, my idea is that we would have to have some kind of resolution that we are going to approve this, and this is what's going to happen. And this is what's going to happen with the money. The money would have to flow through the city, have some kind of bank account or something like that. And it would have to be all flowing through the city. I don't know, through the city parks department too. That's
Or we
my-
mentioned, I'm sorry if I could
Go ahead.
add the community foundation as a potential as well. We did have a meeting with Brana, and if there was a shift to the community foundation, she's certain that there could be additional grant funds that could become available to spread the gap. I think the bigger issue does come down to, I mean, I don't know who else up here bought a brick. I bought a brick. The thing that I get asked the most is, where's my brick? No one has ever come to me to say, when is the monument going to be restored?
That's really sad.
They have always asked,
That's very sad.
where's the brick? Where's the money? And I think the one question before us is, at this point, because the question that Jeremiah raised and Mr. Preston raised as well is about the names.
Mhm.
And I know that was the original intent that was sold for the bricks. I mean, I filled my form out and, I thought it was on the up and up, and I could imagine Frank Dick filled a form out with his and Shirley name on there too. And he's not here to say whether he wants his, money to go towards the restoration or towards the brick and the restoration, but that's also the sale. I come from a family of brick buyers where I would leave my grandparents' house and we would walk to Memorial Park in Roseville to visit my grandfather's brick with my grandma. And we would leave my grandpa, who was still alive, in the house to go see his brick. So, you know, we have this issue of where the bricks are, where they go. Does the city just foot the bill and say, we're going to restore this because it's an important piece to make sure these things take place? And thank you, everyone who donated, and here's your money back. I don't know.
Madam Mayor, may I? I'm the only veteran sitting at the dais, other than the city attorney. 30 years ago, I was living aboard a U.S. Navy destroyer going by DC-3 Collins. In my travels aboard that ship, I saw some of the most awe-inspiring and amazing things. I also saw some of the most horrific things mankind could ever see. I have experienced profound loss. Not only am I a veteran, I am a wife, daughter, niece, granddaughter, and mother to veterans. Currently, I am the mother of an active duty sailor and an active duty Marine. And I'm also the aunt of 2 Gold Star children. One of them, twins, is also a U.S. Marine. We all fought very hard for the very freedom that allows a woman in downtown Adrian, a business owner, to disparage mine and my family's service today on social media. If you'd indulge me, I'll share a bit more about Monument Park. The park is listed as KZ said, the Library of Congress. It's a historic site, Michigan, US. It was unveiled on July 4th, 1870, and it was created to honor soldiers that died from Adrian, Lenawee County in the American Civil War. The column used was one of the original columns from the sod of the former Bank of Pennsylvania building in Philadelphia. That column was originally erected in 1799 and is the only surviving column from that original bank.
There's 2 of them that survived.
According to the Library of Congress, there's only 1 surviving currently. That being said, the column used was one of the original columns. I said the cannons in Monument Park are also pretty impressive. The cannons in Monument Park also commemorate the Civil War. 2 of the 4 are marked by the Columbia Foundry that was located just north of Washington, D.C. at the time. Those cannons that are marked are 2 of only 3 cannons created in 1834 as experimental cannons. Cannon number 1 has not been located. The cannons were donated as an act of Congress, resolution number 78 in 1870. That being said, Monument Park was not just built with historical parts or pieces. It was built with memories, sacrifice, and solemn respect. It is a sacred space to honor the fallen. It is a place where Gold Star families can visit and remember their lost loved ones. It is a place where veterans can go to remember those they have lost in times when words cannot bring comfort. Adding anything other than the names of the fallen is offensive. This is not about politics or profit. This is about preserving dignity. Those honored in this park did not serve to advertise businesses, names of donators, or other things etched beside their legacies. They serve to uphold the dignity of the free world. Let us continue to honor them with their legacy, rather than logos, businesses, or names. I cannot imagine a business name, a person's name, a group's name cheaply placed next to those that paid the ultimate sacrifice. I do not oppose recognition. I would be happy to recognize the efforts of supporters on a webpage or other means, open to that discussion. This is not a disagreement of veteran support. We just went through May, which is Military Recognition Month. It also has Memorial Day in it. In a time when 22 a day are lost by their own hand, veteran support is very much needed. It's dire. Monument Park is not for veterans. I recognize there are plaques in that park recognizing groups that are not of the fallen. I would ask, where does that stop? Today, I ask my fellow commissioners to support a resolution or an ordinance that we do not put any other names besides those that have fallen in Monument Park, and we hold that as sacred ground for those that have served and lost their lives, that have paid the ultimate sacrifice, that we are lucky we are sitting here because of their service. Thank you.
Jeremiah, I guess I would have a question for you. I also have very large concerns, being that it is Monument Park and what it stands for, having other names in there, businesses, anything like that. Do you have any other thoughts? I know you had it on here, alternatives to bricks. Do you have other thoughts?
One of the thoughts I had, and it was, I spoke with Casey, last Friday about it. And if you look at some of the pictures I put in there, the park's very plaque based. And so one of the things I thought about it, I do believe it is important to recognize groups and folks that support support these efforts. One of the pictures I have there, it's the first one. If you look, it's the Armed Forces of America plaque. It's a Blue Star Memorial it's a tribute to the Armed Forces of America, and it was from the Adrian Garden Club. So that's kind of the only really extent or mention of a group besides just the actual monuments themselves. And I want to be clear that I'm absolutely in favor and want to work on the restoration of the monument itself. It's the question then becomes, where do we go from there? One of the things that I had proposed was potentially is a nice plaque honoring Casey and the committee as well. Is that like an elevated plaque that we could set off to the side somewhere to kind of mention, and we could word it honoring again her efforts and the committee's efforts working towards restoring the monument itself. So that was just me I've been to all sorts of different other parks and DC, all these different places where we commemorate, our veterans and those lost. So that was an idea as an alternative. If you said I didn't want to do the bricks, is there another alternative? I thought, that could be potentially one of those alternatives is, do we get a plaque and do we tastefully put it somewhere, write it up and mention again her efforts and the efforts of others?
So Casey, I see you shaking your head.
Pardon?
I said, I see you shaking your head as Jeremiah made that statement.
We're not in this for the recognition. We're in this to honor the Civil War veterans that came before us and have sacrificed. And so what we are doing is that we are honoring the veterans by the restoration of the monument itself by the purchase of the bricks, which were promised to be at the base of the monument.
Is there an opportunity? Well, you said initially that at the base of the monument, but as Jeremiah said, those stones and bricks are historic in and of themselves, and of course don't match the current sized bricks, so that would be defacing things. And then there was talk of putting them on a different section outside of that.
In the southeast corner of the monument, in a grassy area.
Is there a stretch that could go further in that the funds used to restore the monument so that it continues to be the names of those that are in Monument Park are those that paid the ultimate sacrifice? And could the bricks be located, I don't know, outside of the city chamber building? Could it be in a different location that says these donors, so you can fulfill your contract that you made with your donors? These donors provided for the restoration of the items at Monument Park, mentioning Monument Park. Who knows? It could be anywhere on city property, but I just, out here somewhere, anywhere that's not on the quote unquote hallowed ground of what we know as Monument Park. And I know that goes against the original contract that you had, but I'm trying to find middle ground in terms of how do you still supply a brick for the people that you promised that to, and now 7-8 years later, people have passed away, and it's not that like you can easily go and say, oh, Frank Dick, do you want a brick or do you want your money to go to the donation? I guess that's just my thought.
Are you willing to bend? Are you willing to compromise with the current city Because I guess that's where we're at right now. It's a yes or no. Are you willing to have the bricks and the recognition
That would be,
someplace else?
yes, willing to compromise some, but the decision would mainly be up to the people who have purchased the bricks. They understand the promise that we have gave them about having the bricks in the park.
When is the last time you communicated with people that bought bricks?
The last time was probably 23.
So in 2 years, you haven't spoken to anyone that's bought a brick? In 2 years?
Kelly, you're a little hard to hear,
Sorry.
even for me.
And so you haven't spoken to anyone in 2 years that has bought a brick?
Correct.
Can we ask them if they would be willing to negotiate rather than bricks, do something different?
That would be a question that I would ask them.
I mean, I brought up the significance of the cannons and their historical significance, and the stanchions that they're sitting on are rotting. They need to be replaced.
That wasn't the original intent of her ask.
I
to do
understand
a
that. Is
different
that something that you could
project.
bring back to the brick buyers and say, here's other options?
Way back when, that was part of the original. Way back when. But right now, we are concentrating on getting the monument done. So that's where we're at right now. So we have enough.
Are you willing to turn over the $15,000 to the city so we can start work on the monument? And then we can discuss recognition for those donating after. You don't have to make a decision right now. I want you to think about that. If your concern really is for restoration of that monument and you've raised that money, then let's restore the monument. And then in the next couple of months, figure out what's the next step with
Well, that's
bricks, no bricks,
that's
something.
one of two pieces. The other one is fulfillment of the promise that we gave to the people that we sold the bricks to.
Because it was you purchase a brick to help donate and you get a brick.
So maybe what you need to do is then reach out to all of them, just like Commissioner Castleberry suggested, and see how they feel, if it is in a different location or how that looks, and see if they're still willing.
I would like to reassure you that I'm very appreciative of everything you and others have been doing to raise that money. I too feel that those bricks may not be the best choice being put in that monument park. But I think that in another public space, another park, those bricks would be much more a successful part and piece of what we're doing here. But I really believe with everything we've discussed, I again tell you, I'm thrilled of all the hard work that you've done, but I really believe the bricks do not belong in that monument park.
There are other areas in which monuments do have bricks for sales. In Clinton, they have got bricks in their monument area. In Tipton, there are bricks around the monument down there. 3 installations have just went in down in Toledo for the various services, and they have got bricks around at the base. So it is something that is common, but it's not derogatory or anything like that. It's to honor the project and the veterans that it goes towards. So I don't know of a business that doesn't honor the veterans. I don't know of anyone who doesn't have someone along their family line that hasn't served in some capacity.
I don't doubt that. I don't doubt that at all. And I think that's very appropriate, but I just feel that there are other parks in this city that we could possibly do something very nice with those bricks other than that space. I believe that space is is really designated. And I know that you're citing other cities that might have done this. Again, I'm not sure that that makes it right in my mind,
Yes.
that other people have done it that way. I would like to see us respect the idea that that park is for the fallen men and women.
I appreciate your thoughts on that.
Thank you.
It's just that I feel also that removing it from that park removes the significance of them. So,
I mean, if that park had a different significance, it'd be a different story, but that park stands for the fallen, and that's why I agree with you, Commissioner Miller, on, I just don't feel comfortable putting bricks in there with people's personal names unless they were all fallen in the line of duty, that's different. But, because that's what that park stands for, and just the history of it and the significance of it. And it doesn't feel right. It just really doesn't, to have names of individual donors, businesses, etc. But I greatly appreciate you wanting to fix that, because it does need help. I was standing there on Memorial Day. I know, I definitely have noticed how much it really does need some work, for sure.
it does.
I agree with Commissioner Miller, Commissioner Casper, the mayor. I don't like the idea of the bricks in the park. I think it does reek of commercialization. A simple question. Talk to a commission back in 2017, or talk to the mayor, or talk to somebody. I don't think you talk to the commission. This commission feels differently, and at least I believe the majority of us do. What would you do if we just said, we're not going to put the bricks anywhere? What are you going to do? We would have to find, we do agree, I think we all agree that the monument needs to be restored. But if we made the decision amongst ourselves to amend the budget and put $15,000 in the Parks and Rec department to do that restoration, what would you do, KZ? What would you do with the money?
But I would send the money back to all the people who have donated.
Okay.
Plain and simple as that.
Okay.
So,
Thank you.
so, and just as a reminder to the city is that the park is the city owned, but the monuments are the veterans owned. So just as a reminder.
Mr. Davies, is that, is that,
So they become.
they were donated to the city, so they are the city's property for us to do with as we need to, correct? So they are the city's property. Just make sure you understand that too. I understand that, I heard you say that the cost has gone up from 10,000 to over 15,000. I imagine the cost of putting bricks in has gone up also. So with that additional $3,000 that you have, are you going to be able to, if we allowed 150 bricks, is that going to cover the cost of placing 150 bricks?
It probably won't. But we have a commitment of having the additional covered.
Okay, so you have some donor, or you've got other people that are willing to cover the additional costs?
Yes.
If that's the path. Okay.
Thank you, Casey. Thank you, Jeremiah. We have a lot to consider.
And thank you all very much for your consideration.
Yeah.
Linda or Carolyn Kay, would you like to say something? If I may?
I can.
My name is Marilyn Smith, and I live at 201 East Maumee. I just wanted to tell you about my brick. My brick is going to have my parents' name on it. It's Keith and Dessolee. Her name is Dessolee Smith. My mom lived in Adrian as a little girl, and then she had to move away. And for years, she prayed God, if you let me come back to Adrian, I promise I'll live there for the rest of my life. She prayed that for years. And then she got to live back in Adrian. And she went to Adrian High School. And this was going to be her home. And then she met my dad a year after he came back from World War II. And they got married, and he went into the ministry. And he was a minister for 45 years in 5 different states. So she didn't get to live in Adrian all that time. But every time we went on vacation, there was no question where we went. It was Adrian. She had to come back to Adrian. And when they retired, we tried our best to get them. Just look at Florida. Nope. Mom would not have it. She had to live in Adrian. So they moved back to Adrian, and she lived here for the rest of her life. My dad retired from the ministry, and the last 15 years of his life was with Alzheimer's. And those 45 years that he spent in the ministry, he didn't remember a day of it, not one day. But what he did remember were his 2 years that he spent in World War II. He often said, I was proud to serve my country, but I didn't like to shoot people. And he would always look at my brother-in-law and say, I remember saving you. I remember picking you up and putting you on my shoulders, and I got you off that battlefield. He never deviated from that story. So that part we knew was true because he never changed it, even with his Alzheimer's. And so I would love to have my dad's name on a brick. He was very proud to be in the Army. And my mom loved this city. She loved it. And I want her name to be on a brick also. Thank you.
Thank you, Marilyn. Before I leave you, so I guess at this point, if you are okay with it, I will move to meet with KZ to come up with an alternative, either site or an alternative plan. But from what I'm gathering right now, we don't want to move forward with bricks in Monument Park, correct?
Yes.
Okay, and then I'll bring you an update here in the near future.
Okay.
So
Thanks.
thank you for your time.
And
And
Casey.
Thank you.
I would also like to have this pushed forward as quickly as possible. I really don't want to be discussing this in a year, 2 or 3 years, if I'm still here. So
Will
if
do.
we can get this resolved, that would be great.
and
Thank you.
could we also maybe get a draft resolution saying that, moving forward, that Monument Park is, for monuments, so we don't have confusion about this in the future?
Motion now.
Well, I think we should maybe have public comment, options as well.
Mhm. Yeah. If we're going to change our ordinance, right?
So they're actually, this is provided for in the charter. The city administrator is empowered to make the rules and regulations of parks with the approval of the commission. So what you would, I think, Commissioner Binky, what you should request is for the city administrator to put something together and put it back before the commission. And then that would be the permanent rule, so to speak, although subject to repeal later if you want to.
Right.
Okay. And just recognizing, I guess, that this is a monument park for veterans of the city of Adrian and also for Lenawee County. This is not a memorial park for people who happen to live here.
I would not say veterans, I would say those that have
Okay.
fallen, like.
However,
passed,
it should be.
Passed and killed in action.
Okay. All right.
I'm sorry, we have one last comment from a member of that's been a part of the committee.
Hi, I'm Linda Kronberg. I'm a past national president of the Auxiliary to the Sons of the Veterans Civil War. We're all members. I'm with the Allied Orders, the GAR. And we did the one in Tipton. Rainer Hardy put the money up to redo the monument. I don't know if anybody was there, but we had over probably close to 300 people there. It was built and it was by only family members and friends and relatives who fought for the Civil War back in the 1860s, 1861 to 1865. They built the monument in 1865. They had a dedication, and a year later, they had over 1,000 people there, and they all paid for it. It was $500 for them to put out by themselves. Government did not pay. The Tipton Monument is the oldest monument in the state of Michigan. Not the government owns it. The people own it. Same thing for this one, is the second one in the state of Michigan. The one in Tipton is the 7th monument in the United States that is only by them. They have a plaque in front of the monument that we dedicated that day. And they went through it, Rainer Hardy, about the story of it. They put the bricks around the township hall. There's the new Franklin Township Hall right there. They put the bricks around there, not up at the monument. But we did do a dedication, and that's the reason why we want to while we do all the monuments and stuff, is because they don't do history in school anymore. They have no idea. If our ancestors hadn't fought in the American Revolution, can you imagine what our country would be like now? Or when we did the Indian French War, all the wars down through the line, everybody has had somebody to do that. And I found out that my ancestors was part of the Franklin Township that helped build it. They helped put in 12 and all the other ones. But that's just another thing to think about. Instead of there at that monument, if it's going to be that much problem, maybe we could find another place for that. But we have, for our Department of Michigan, I have a big brick for us for that. But if we can do it someplace else, and if that's anything that we can do, let's go for it, because it needs to be time for it to look beautiful again, the way it was. And everybody, I think, would appreciate it. So that's my 2 cents. So.
They do teach history. I just subbed in a class at the high school and I was teaching Vietnam War. So they do teach history. I was there.
And I'm sorry, one last one. This is Dave Loop, who's also a part of the committee.
I think a few of you know me. My name is Dave Loop. I live at 126 East Summit Street, Adrian, Michigan. I am also the commander of the United Veterans Council. Through the United Veterans Council, over the years with that park up there, I've had a lot to do with that. The restoration of the Vietnam Monument, the Korean War Monument. Originally, there was a plaque on that that said Korean War Vietnam Veterans. We took that off and we raised funds and put a new plaque on that. The plaque that sits in the northeast corner of the park, which is called we call it the Afghanistan-Iraq Park, or monument, I should say, for the gentlemen in the Afghanistan-Iraq War. That was put in there by the United Veterans Council. It was funds raised with the council. Now, with working with the city, even with the Vietnam Monument, to take and refurbish that, we did not have to go through anything with city council or anything like that, because it never got into any monies from the city. It was all done with donations with people. For instance, the Vietnam Monument, there's 41 different names on that monument, and they're from all over the county. So there's a thing with names on monuments. If we're saying we don't want monuments or names on monuments at the park, all those names on that Civil War monument, they're all from people from, could be all around Lenawee County as far as history goes with like that. Incidentally, I was searching through my papers and doing history on that park and stuff like that. I would have noticed a article in the newspaper in 1967. This was obviously our telegram back then. It says city officials were broadsided on Monument Park issue. And another one, Monument Park called disgraced by veterans. Now there was veterans groups back in there, whether they were part of the United Veterans Council or what, but I'm sure it probably was part of that. That originally the city council at that time wanted to move all those monuments out to the cemetery, which is owned by the city, I'm sure, too. So, but it's just a little bit of history in the sense of, here we go in 1967, I was 5 years out of high school, thank you, that they wanted to move that park. And talking with Miss Castleberry the other day there about with us being veterans and stuff like that. And trust me, I've had a lot to do with veterans here in Lenawee County pretty well all my life. I tell everybody I turned 70 10 years ago. I'm still doing it. I still help the veterans, and that's our motto, veterans serving veterans. And you know, to take and have people's names on the monument park, I'm sure the Civil War people, there's none of them that remember that their loved one, other than like she said here, you know, about her parents or grandparents or something like that. But it's just something, I can see the fact that, you know, with doing a lot of plaques and stuff in a park, and as far as hallowed ground and stuff like that, I don't know, you guys would be able to look up the history. For instance, the World War II monument that we always celebrate our Veterans in Memorial Day at up in front. When was that put in? Who authorized that? You know, things like that. So, but I see the mayor smiling at me because she knows how I go on. So anyway, thank you for my part, but I'm just saying we need to keep, I agree, it's kind of a solemn area up there, that park. I mean, as much as we've done and tried as veterans, we want to help out too. We want to make sure it's done right too. And we'd appreciate, you know, I know just to listen to your comment about we went around here back then. I'm sure you weren't here in 67 either, just like most of us, you know. So, but it's just the fact that we appreciate your support. And as far as the bricks themselves, you know, you sell something for a purpose. Sure, like KZ said, maybe we'll have to return the money, but the thing of it is that was part of the fundraiser. You have a fundraiser to fix something. And because originally, and without the historical thing of all the brick around it, we were going to take all the bricks out of the inside the fenced area. That never used to be fenced in till kids started climbing and everything on that for the safety purpose. But I mean, those bricks are there now. That was one of the original thoughts, was put the bricks inside there. Even though we wouldn't fill the whole area up, we could have a decent area. But that's just a thought. So, okay, thank you for letting me speak.
Thank you. We'll get to work on this.
I know it's been a long meeting, but on other items, can I have our city attorney, can you weigh in on the, are we violating the city charter when it comes to the Adrian College, Adrian Inn, like purchasing the Adrian Inn by not putting it out to bid? So I would just like you to weigh in on that, or if you could give us some direction.
Well, I did not prepare a written memorandum. However, I can tell you I've had to look it up as these questions have gone basically back from when you first authorized it. And I do not believe it is a violation of the city charter. And some of the reason why is you have to remember when you brought it up. And as I remember, the city engineering department came to a meeting and asked for an emergency, they had an emergency bid request to remove the furniture out of the Adrian Inn because it needed to be demolished immediately. It was a public nuisance. The police calls were out of control. And I believe it was Commissioner Binky that said, wait a minute, why are we skipping the bid process on the furniture when we have an offer to purchase this property and demolish it immediately? Which the charter clearly states that when it is determined that there is no advantage to the city to put it out to bid, that you don't have to. And the city commission clearly controls the bid process. Not only was it advantageous, or you thought so at the time, to sell it and require the purchaser to demolish it immediately, that you had a reverter clause put into the purchase agreement. So that is clearly also advantageous to the city. I do not believe it is a violation. This was a public nuisance. There was a demolition window. It is a unique piece of property, and you were on a time crunch, and you had decisions to be made, and you sought that as a solution unanimously as a commission. So no, I don't think it's a violation.
Any other items? Or any other discussion on that?
Is there any information to lead us to believe that there were other offers that were made that the commission never received?
I never received any. The only thing that I was told, there was a vote right here. And actually that night, the request for the furniture is the first time it was, that I knew about it. And I believe the city administrator told everyone that we'd had received that request, but I don't think there were any other requests.
There was one last week that went out with the weekly report, the one reference from Lee and Associates, I believe. Those are the ones that we received.
And that was after the fact?
Yes, yes, sir.
Yep, that was after the city commission had instructed me to move forward with the purchase agreement with Adrian College with the reverter clause.
But no known offers that were made prior to the Adrian College offer?
Not to me. I do not know of any.
To previous administration, do we know?
I don't.
We don't know that.
No, I shouldn't say just to me, none that I knew of, period.
So if we still feel like it's a public nuisance and we just want it torn down tomorrow, you're saying that we would not be violating the charter, correct?
It is my opinion that if you move forward with the purchase agreement that you have, that it is not a violation of the charter provision 12.1. Once again, I can prepare a legal memorandum which explains it in complete detail, but the urgency that I just explained, that is why it's advantageous to you. The bid process in our charter is there to protect you as well. But remember, you control the bid process. So when you set a number of where you want the bids, you know, what has to require bids. So right now, I think it's 20,000 or 30,000. You could make it 500,000. You control that as a commission. That's why you have to have a majority of the votes. In this situation, you unanimously approved it because of the urgency. We had bids. That was the issue that night. There were no bids. And then we were on a demolition schedule that if it wasn't torn down in the summer, we were going to have to wait another year. The chief was explaining the police calls. We had people breaking in. We had people ripping the copper out. So I could go on and on.
Right.
There was a reason why all
Right.
of that. And so, no, I do not believe that is a violation.
Okay, thank you.
Moving on to the consent agenda. May I get a motion to adopt the consent agenda?
So moved.
Support.
We have a motion from Commissioner Castleberry with a second from Commissioner Miller. Roll call, please.
Yes.
Commissioner Castleberry?
Yes.
Commissioner Gauss?
Yes.
Mayor Heath?
Yes.
Commissioner Roberts?
Yes,
Commissioner Banky?
Yes.
Motion carried.
On our regular agenda, under special orders, Special Order -1 is a public hearing to hear and consider comments regarding the establishment of an industrial development district for property at 906 James Street. At this time, I will call the public hearing to order, and anybody wishing to speak on that may do so at this time. Hearing nobody commenting, I call this hearing closed. Moving on to resolutions. Resolution R 25-031 is from administration. It is a resolution to approve an agreement with Housing Help of Lenawee. May I get a motion to adopt the resolution?
Madam Mayor, I'd like to go into closed session to review that agreement, please.
Second.
We have a motion from Commissioner Roberts to go into closed session with a second from Commissioner Gauss. Roll call, please.
Mayor Heath,
Yes.
Commissioner Roberts,
Yes.
Commissioner Banky,
Yes.
Commissioner Miller,
Yes.
Commissioner Castleberry.
Yes.
Commissioner Gauss.
Yes.
Motion carried.
At this time, we will go into closed session. We will come out and so going back to resolution, R 25-031 from administration. It is a resolution to approve an agreement with Housing Help of Lenawee. May I get a motion to adopt the resolution?
So moved.
Support.
Are there any commissioner comments or discussion? We have a motion from Commissioner Banky with a second from Commissioner Gauss. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Castleberry,
Yes.
Commissioner Gauss,
Yes.
Mayor Heath,
Yes.
Commissioner Roberts.
Yes.
Commissioner Banky,
Yes.
Commissioner Miller.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Moving on to resolution R 25-032 from Economic Development. It is a resolution to approve a change order for the Winter Street demolition project. May I get a motion to adopt the resolution?
So moved.
Support.
Are there any commissioner comments or discussion? We have a motion from Commissioner Castleberry with a second from Commissioner Miller. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Gauss,
Yes.
Mayor Heath,
Yes.
Commissioner Roberts,
Yes.
Commissioner Banky,
Yes.
Commissioner Miller,
Yes.
Commissioner Castleberry.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Resolution R 25-033 is from engineering. It is a resolution to award a bid for building maintenance at City Hall. May I get a motion to adopt the resolution?
So moved.
Support.
Are there any commissioner comments or discussion on that?
Yes, I will be voting yes on this. I think that the changes being made in City Hall are very customer focused and bringing as many of our constituents into the building and have them available or have city staff available right as they walk in is going to make a huge difference for the city. And I really look forward to seeing those changes.
Thank you to Vince and his team for
Yes.
Yes.
working that out and I've already had people talking about the downstairs, so
Yep.
there's more people and it's easier to navigate.
Nice work.
Yes, thank you very much. Especially, you're acting city administrator and you just had this vision and you took it and ran with it with the staff and it was amazing. Thank you. We have a motion from Commissioner Miller with a second from Commissioner Roberts. Roll call, please.
Mayor Heath,
Yes.
Commissioner Roberts,
Yes.
Commissioner Banky,
Yes.
Commissioner Miller,
Yes.
Commissioner Castleberry,
Yes.
Commissioner Gauss.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Resolution R 25-034 is from administration. It is a resolution to approve a purchase agreement for 1575 West Maumee Street. May I get a motion to adopt the resolution?
So moved.
Support.
Are there any commissioner comments or discussion on this? I would just like to say that I do appreciate the explanation from our city attorney tonight. And this has been a definite public nuisance and it was a very much a emergency situation, in my opinion. And I took all of this into a lot of thought and really looked at everything in the last few days And it is going to be a difficult decision, but it is in the best interest of the city, I do feel, to sell it to Intercollege and to get this demolished as quickly as possible. We have a motion from Commissioner Castleberry with a second from Commissioner Roberts. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Roberts,
Yes.
Commissioner Banky,
Yes.
Commissioner Miller,
Yes.
Commissioner Castleberry,
Yes.
Commissioner Gauss,
Yes.
Mayor Heath.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Resolution R 25-035 is from administration. It is a resolution to approve ballot language for referendum of ordinance 24-002 point of sale. May I get a motion to adopt the resolution?
So moved.
Support.
Are there any commissioner comments or discussion on this? We have a motion from Commissioner Banky with a second from Commissioner Gauss. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Banky,
Yes.
Commissioner Miller,
Yes.
Commissioner Castleberry.
Yes.
Commissioner Gauss.
Yes.
Mayor Heath,
Yes.
Commissioner Roberts.
Yes.
Motion carried.
It is now time for public comment. This does not have to pertain to things on the agenda. It can be anything that you would like to make public comment on. Just to reiterate, there's a 3-minute time limit, and for the record, please state your name and place of residence. We will begin inside the city chambers first. When we have exhausted all public comment within the chambers, we will then open it up to the Zoom participants.
Thank you, Mayor. I'll try to do this quickly. I have been blessed, and my family have been blessed to live in the city of Adrian for the past 50-some years. And this is the last city commission meeting that you'll be having that I'm still living in Adrian. We are moving to Lansing. It's age, health, and reasons that it's time to spend more time with family and kids and grandkids. 2 of the 3 children live in Lansing and 4 of the 6 grandchildren live in Lansing. So we'll be moving, but I couldn't take this opportunity, I'm watching the clock, to thank you, each and every one of you. The city has offered me many, many opportunities. I was mayor. Well, first of all, I was on the planning commission, then the city commission, and mayor, and then state senator, and then mayor in retirement. There are so many things that happened over those years, but 3 quick things I want to mention is for the past 36 years. We started, and you continue the relationship between Moriyama, Japan, and the city of Adrian. And you all know the relationships that brings, and the lasting relationships. Also, Adrian's commitment to the Italian-American community. When we raised the money and put a sculpture in Oakwood Cemetery for the 120-some plus Italians that were killed in a train crash outside of Adrian in 1901. Because of that, I was given knighthood by the president of Italy. Never did I expect that. Never did I think that I really deserved that. But it's certainly something that I treasure. And lastly, something that I think is so community-minded is, and I know you hear me say it over and over again, is Comstock Christmas Riverwalk. But that is a tradition that we started and you continue. Families that look forward every year and coming back to Adrian, coming down to the park to remember family and community. So for all of those opportunities, and when they came to me, I took advantage of those. My wish to you is that opportunities come your way. You can sit back and not take that opportunity and nothing gets done. Or you can take that opportunity and make something of it and bring memories that will last a lifetime. Thank you, with 5 seconds to go.
Mary Collins, 11 Scott Court. I am a veteran, and I just want to say that I'm pleased with the tenor I'm hearing from the commission on the issue at Monument Park. If you've had the opportunity to go to The Tomb of the Unknown Soldier, you don't see anybody paying for it there. There's no pavers. If you go anywhere in the cemetery there, you see no pavers. Only the names of the people who died in the war. I strongly suspect if you went to Normandy, you would see no pavers. You would see just the names of the people that died. In Monument Park, one of the memorials is the Vietnam Memorial. I served there in Vietnam, however, I did not go into battle. But there are 4 names on that are near and dear to me. Very close, very good friends that I've known since early childhood. So I've heard a lot of talk about who paid for the park and who owns the park. Bear this in mind when you ponder about that park. You don't own it. Every name on a plaque in that park owns that park. Every name on that plaque paid for that park. Nobody else owns it. Nobody else has the rights. Thank you.
Tom, Neil, Adrian. Well, you've passed the resolution, so I guess we're gonna have to live with it. I just hope when they take out a building permit, that this commission, before they approve any site plans over there, doesn't put up a bunch, let them put up a bunch of them HUD shacks like they got over across from Kapnick's Insurance. They fill that parking lot, they want to use it for student housing. Where are they going to park? Parking issue around that college has been a problem for as long as I've lived over there. We haven't dug back far enough, but we're working on it. There was a resolution made by this board after they put the hockey arena in that they weren't going to let them do any more building until they did some with the parking. And then they bought the property at the end of William Street. Nothing but a junkyard there. People got dirt piles 30 feet high behind their houses and trees are growing out of it. Isn't that a public nuisance? Oh, it's a staging area. Enough's enough. I'm glad this is an election year because I think the people on the west side are going to turn out in droves to vote. But enough's enough. And Vince knows the problems we got over there parking. He's got a great police department. College won't do anything about it. We had a snow emergency this year. You know the 20 cars that were on the street that Eric and his crew had to plow around? College students on Madison. It's tight down through there anyway. You have no parking from Michigan Street to Charles on the east side. And it helps. But there should be no parking on the east side from Michigan Avenue all the way to Maumee. You can't get down through there during the day. You meet a truck and a fire truck and the whole lane's taken up. The students, and we can't get any cooperation from the college, don't respect the residents in those areas. Thank you.
Hi, Jerry Tim, Adrian resident. I just want to give some context. The first time I brought up the need for the changes to the bike loop design and provided the first renderings of the design I'm still pushing for today was at least a year and a half ago. I did so after myself and others from the local bicycle community left comments offering to be part of the planning process as local stakeholders and included both my personal email address as well as Rebicycle's email address in the comment section of the downtown bike loop survey that went unanswered for over a month after the survey closed. I emailed renderings to all parties to the city I thought could help out. These emails went largely ignored. I've been given several excuses that have changed as I've given information that contradict these excuses. I've been told that it was too late to change, only later to be told it can still be changed, to now being told again it's too late to be changed because we could lose the grant if we ask about a redesign at this point. From my perspective, there's a risk. If there's a risk that we could lose the funding by asking about a change now, it's due to over a year of those that should have done something choosing instead to kick the can down the road, wasting dozens of hours of my time. I can't think of a word that describes how I'm feeling right now. I'd also like to express my disappointment with the demolition of U Park on North Winter Street. There's no justification in destroying that park. Over the past few months, I've conducted an independent parking study analyzing peak hours using Google data. After 20 hours of research, manually counting available parking spaces at peak time, the results are clear. Downtown parking is not in crisis. On average, 53% of spaces are available even during normal peak times, roughly 350 open spaces around downtown at any given time. The North Winter Street lot where the park sits is typically only 46% full at peak hours, meaning 53 spaces are open in that lot alone. The city's plan to add 80 spaces in that, in part by demolishing U Park, is misguided. We'd be trading one of downtown's 2 parks for empty pavement, creating a block-long economic dead zone void of life next to the proposed bike loop. There's still time to save U Park. Replanting the trees that were cut down will cost money, but will be far less than the cost of paving and losing a shaded third space for additional parking we don't need. Thank you.
Aaron Cheshire, City of Adrian resident. I wanted to take a moment to sincerely thank you for once again proclaiming June as LGBTQ plus Pride Month here in the City of Adrian. This proclamation might seem symbolic to some, but for many of us, it's deeply meaningful. It says to LGBTQ plus people, young and old, lifelong residents and newcomers, that we are seen, that we are supported, and that we are welcome. It tells our young people that their city believes they have a future here and that they don't have to leave to be accepted, something that I desperately needed to hear when I was growing up here. It tells our elders that their contributions and struggles are recognized, and it tells everybody that inclusion is not just an idea, it's a value we actively uphold in our community. In a time where LGBTQ plus rights and visibility are being challenged nationwide, many cities are stepping back. Adrian has chosen to step forward. It means a lot that our city continues to affirm the worth and dignity of every person. Choosing to proclaim Pride Month each year might not make headlines, but it makes a difference. It tells us we belong. It tells us that love, identity, and community are worth celebrating. So thank you for your leadership, for your courage, and for continuing to make space for us all. I'm proud to call Adrian my home. Thanks.
Keith Morris, City of Adrian. Now that you've sold the Adrian Inn for a dramatic loss, and then you went into the backroom meeting for housing help, what was the cost on that? Because you can just add that onto the cost of the Adrian Inn, what that all costs us taxpayers in the end. Medallion, the other day when they were here, last meeting, they told me right to my face, and he was sitting there next to me, they didn't ask you guys to put up anybody in hotels. They didn't ask you for any help whatsoever. So I said, what are you going to do? Throw them out in the streets? And they said it wasn't their concern. I realized that we needed to do something, but you guys should have made somebody responsible for that action. And it should have been Medallion Properties and the owner of that apartment building. The monument. That's part of Parks and Recreation. What has Parks and Recreation done to let that monument get such disrepair? There's no reason for it. It's a City of Adrian property. You guys said it was. Why is it in such disrepair? Nobody's taking care of it? $15,000. That's not much. The other day at one of the meetings, somebody said, well, finding the company to find the administrator was only 1% of the budget. That's not even 1% of the budget to fix a monument, but yet we still haven't done it. Bone Pool, $850,000. Why did it get in such disrepair? The city is not doing their job. They're not maintaining their property, but yet the city wants us to maintain ours. I don't understand. It's not a two-way street. Everybody has to do their part. And the city has not been doing their part. They're not doing their part in the parks and recreations. They're not doing their part with the city trees on the boulevards. They're not doing their part. I constantly have to go pick up dead limbs out of my yard from a tree. I got a tree right now, the leaves are falling off of it. It's dying. It's 80 feet tall and it's dying. So where's it going to go when it falls over? Probably on my house. But I bet I can't get somebody from the city to come out and look at it for at least 2 or 3 months. It'll take that long to find somebody to answer the phone because they don't answer the phone at the city. Every time you call somebody, all you get is a recording. I'm not at my desk. And you never get a call back. Thank you.
Hearing no more public comment, we will now open it up to the Zoom participants. Hearing no more public comment, we will now move on to commissioner comments. I'd like to start it off by thanking April Hammond for, is it Hammond? Is that how you say it? Hammond, sorry, I figured I was saying it wrong. Hammond for her first night of doing a meeting as city clerk, and that is why we do have Robin here helping us again, and helping April get adjusted to being our city clerk. But welcome and thank you, and hopefully it went well tonight, but we appreciate you. And the housing help agreement was confidential until voted on, but it is going to be available. I'm not sure if copies were made and brought tonight, but it will be available by the morning. If not, it will be public knowledge, but it had to stay confidential until we discussed and then it was voted on. So, and another note, Joe Wagley, a former mayor of Adrian, had an idea of pretty much about a year ago right now. And a lot of communities do a mayor's ball, and he was really wanting to see that happen to raise money for charities and for different groups. And so he got all the living mayors together, and we all former, sorry, and then myself, and we all got together last summer, and we've been meeting throughout the year, and there will be a mayor's ball on July 4th at 7:30 to 10 at night. It is a ticketed event. It'll be down in the Armory. But it's going to be right as First Friday is ending that evening. It's our big bicentennial celebration, and it'll be done before the fireworks begin. But they're going to have some people there that are going to be doing some like historical reenactment and some really great things. And they're going to be giving out an award to a local group and or individual, and they're going to start, and they want to continue this and make this be an annual event, but they wanted to get it going right during our bicentennial year. And it's coming together very quickly and fast and furiously, but our former mayor, Jim Berryman, has been involved with it, but unfortunately now he will not be here by the time we do it, but he has been involved throughout. And former Mayor Gary McDowell, former Mayor Chuck Jacobson, and former Mayor, I'm missing one, who? Yes, thank you. Greg Dumars. I was trying to remember. Sorry. Thank you. And so all of us are, have been working on this, and it's really been under the charge though of Chuck Jacobson and Joe Wagley, and it was his vision, but it's something that they really want to start and continue from here on out. And like I said, a lot of communities do it, and they're really hoping that people will come out for this first one. And I will be taking the sister city representatives that are here as well. And Mayor Morinaka, they've asked him to speak there as well. But just something to think about. It's going to be an exciting, great time at the Bicentennial. And then as First Friday ends before the fireworks, you can come to the Mayor's Ball. It is not a very dressy affair, even though it's called the Mayor's Ball. They want it to be very casual dress. So don't let that scare you. So I will be giving you more details as I get them. We are actually meeting Wednesday very early in the morning, so I'm going to hopefully have some more details because I don't even know how they've decided yet how you're going to get your tickets, but we are going to be discussing that this week. So I will update at the next meeting on it as well. Thank you. Commissioner Roberts?
I'm sorry. Do want to note that specifically for Mayor Berryman, we did go through and have interviews for the Moriyama Exchange last week with the ISD. So we have 8 students that are selected from Adrian, Addison, Blissfield, and Tecumseh, and that will take place October 24th through the 30th of this year. And then June of 26, we'll travel to Moriyama with those same 8 students. I hope my fellow commissioners are having as much fun reviewing the zoning ordinance as I have been. I talked to Mike Jacobitz and he desperately wants more input than the 75 pages that I gave him so far. Optimistic I can get through the 200 of the proposal, but I know he was asking for more input. I do want to also note, in addition to Pride Month being in June, that the Pride celebration for Lenawee Pride is coming back to the city of Adrian. Will take place at the Farmers Market the first weekend in September. So look forward to that. The Adrian Diversity Event Fund, which was founded to pay for the fees to the city for smaller organizations that are in the area of diversity, paid for that event space. And then also the Diversity Event Fund is announcing a new event. It's a multi-month series called Fighting Hate, Lessons Learned from the Holocaust. It will be paying for a trip to the Holocaust Center with a focus on LGBT individuals and the impact that the Holocaust had there. Also, allies are welcome to attend as well. There will be a book study centering around the Men with the Pink Triangle. And then also the Diary of Anne Frank and recent book bannings associated with that book. Her life before the annex and after the annex will be examined. And then to end on a positive note, the Diversity Event Fund has dedicated funds to provide mini grants to those that participate to provide uplifting and hopeful ways to fight hate and spread hope within the city of Adrian. Some more information of that will be coming out soon. Thank you.
So I have a list, so just bear with me. First one is thank you to Lisa Hewitt Cruz. She was very helpful in her knowledge of helping me complete a housing survey from the Michigan Municipal League Economic Development and Land Use Committee that I sit on for the state. We help navigate and or challenge our state representatives on housing issues and land use issues. So thank you, Lisa. Really appreciate your input on that. Also, historical knowledge. City of Adrian was one of the founding members of the Michigan Municipal League. We found that out last year. Kelly and I did when we attended the MML conference, and we were recognized and didn't know that we were being recognized. So that was really cool. Like to thank Jeremiah Davies, not only for his presentation tonight, but Bone Pool is opening on Friday. And if you didn't see the notice on Facebook, but due to an Adrian High School graduate, Emma Pino, who has raised funds, is that all swim lessons are free this summer. All swim lessons are free this summer. So kudos to you and working with Emma. She's a longtime swimmer from the Wave Runners and Adrian High School swim team. So that's amazing, amazing. As coming from a football family and 40-year football coach's wife, I'm thrilled and hope to attend at Maple Stadium on June 20th, our summer movie night, and we'll be playing Rudy, one of my all-time favorite movies, and I'll bring my tissues because every time I cry. So thank you, Jeremiah, and the Parks Department on bringing that too. Saturday, I know I was there and the mayor was there for the Sam Buford Woodworking Institute graduation at the Armory. What a night. What a night. What they can do with wood is just beautiful. It's art. It's art. It's just amazing. So kudos to Luke Barnett and all of the board there and putting on a wonderful graduation that night. That was truly amazing. Couple of things about the bicentennial. Been approached by Edison Comstock's family. They will be in attendance pretty much for 3 days for the bicentennial, and we will get them out in front of people and look forward to having them in town. The volunteers, all of this couldn't be done without volunteers in our committee. The volunteer sign-up sheet was published today on our website by Michelle. I will be sending it to all of you up here, and I'm going to also send it to our Academy graduates. We need volunteers. In order to pull this 4-day weekend off successfully, we need volunteers. So if you don't receive an email, you can go to our website, our Facebook website, and or just contact Michelle or I, and we will get you the link to do the sign up. It's very simple. If you haven't noticed, we have the bicentennial banner over City Hall that came in. That's looking really nice. And I was informed today that our police officers are receiving bicentennial badges. So that's really kind of cool. I hadn't thought of that. So that's very, very cool that they participated in that. Back to the Academy, I was asked tonight by Robin if I'm going to be doing this Community Academy again this fall. That is the plan. I know we usually have information out about it, but I had a daughter get engaged, another daughter is pregnant, I'm putting on a baby shower, and we have a bicentennial. So after the bicentennial is over, Academy information will go out. I got to meet with the department heads just to solidify dates. So be looking for that. And lastly, about the Adrian Inn and the Adrian College sale. We don't take this lightly, and I know I harp on it a lot about tax dollars, and I really appreciate Jay putting together how much tax dollars we will be losing for that. I understand that, but we really truly feel that this is the best interest of the residents, and especially the businesses around there that have been so severely affected by the Adrian Inn. It needs to come down, and it needs to come down right now. And that is the reason I voted yes for it. Do I want a nonprofit to own it? Not really. But to go through another process and all of that is challenging, but we need it down. And we need to move on from there and make sure that that area of our businesses are made whole. So that is why I voted, because I do feel like it is still an emergency to get that down. So that is all.
So no one misunderstands. I'm not sitting here as a replacement for Commissioner Schwartz. I'm sitting here to accommodate Robin Connor, who needed to have my seat. But speaking of Commissioner Schwartz, I want to let everybody know, and with his permission, I will give you an update on him and his plans. I've been to see Matt each week for the last 4 weeks. I plan on seeing him again this week. In those 4 weeks, he has made such tremendous progress that I find it completely unbelievable. The first week that I told him I was going to see him was the week that he had moved from the Cleveland Clinic to a rehab facility in Toledo. I asked him if I could come to visit. He said, "You can come, but you're not going to like what you see." And my response was, as long as you're breathing, I'll be happy. He looked better than I expected. But the next week that I went, he looked even better. 2 weeks ago, I was there, and he'd been transferred he had not been transferred yet. He was planning to be transferred to Flower Hospital in Toledo. It was his last week at Regency Hospital. I got there as a physical therapist. We're trying to help him stand from the edge of the bed. And I'll tell you, it was a struggle. It hurt me to watch. They could lift him up by the arms. He could hold onto a walker and stand for no more than 30 seconds and then have to sit back down. I was very, very concerned, obviously. I went down. He had since that week been transferred over to Flower Hospital. He was in the first hospital giving kind of easy rehab. Flower Hospital is hardcore rehab. And I got there last Friday. He looked great. And he was very proud of the fact that with a walker's assistance, he was able to walk on his own 40 yards down the hall and 40 yards back. He's feeling great. He's on a regular diet, normal diet, and he expects to be back home within the next 2 weeks. I anticipate he wants to be back here. He wants to be sitting in this seat, and I can't wait. But hopefully, if all goes according to his plan, he'll be back here for the first meeting in July. So I'll keep his warm this week I'll keep his seat warm. Next week, I'm getting my seat back, right, Robin? Okay. But I did want to give you the update and continue your prayers for Matt. He's a great guy. I've become very close friends with him, but I'll be so happy that when he can come back and sit right here. Thank you.
Thank you for that update. Much appreciated. May I get a motion to adjourn? We have a motion from Commissioner Castleberry with a second from Commissioner Miller. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Meeting is